Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about 10 low carb breakfast ideas. And the reason we're going to talk about this is often when you transition into low carb or into a keto lifestyle, the hardest thing is knowing what to eat for breakfast. Since the other meals are pretty easy, you can just have your protein and your veggie, your meat and veggie, chicken and veggie. But breakfast, we're used to eating much more carb heavy foods. And so this can be a challenge for somebody that's new to this lifestyle to know what to eat. But before we begin, don't forget to click the subscribe button below or the notification bell to be notified every time there's a new video. Okay, so idea number one. Now I'm not going to show you the foods because I really just want to give you a general explanation so that you kind of can learn this quick by heart and then go and play with these ideas and find recipes that work for you or create recipes that work for you. So the first idea, very simple, is you can have a meat or protein and veggies. That could be 2 scrambled eggs with some low carb vegetables like spinach or kale or mushrooms. You could do sausage and veggies, bacon and veggies. You could do a tuna salad with veggies. You can do eggs and veggies, or an egg salad and veggies. So that's the obvious stuff. And last, cheese and vegetables, right? Those are just your protein and low carb vegetable breakfast, easy. But if you are somebody that tends to crave sweeter foods in the morning, you have an aversion to really eating meat in the morning, let me give you some other easy ideas. So the first one is just a low carb yogurt with a topping. Now, there is some debate if you are a stricter form of low carb, whether or not yogurt is allowed. But if you are going to be eating yogurt, the first one that you would be looking for is a Greek yogurt, because those tend to be lower in carbs. Like Phage is a good brand. And most people will tell you to eat full fat, 5%, so that you get full off of it. But nowadays, the Phage brands even make a 2% and a 0%. They're about the same carb content. So really up to you and what feels good in your body, and how many fat macros you're trying to hit in a day. To make it tastier, you can add a sugar-free sweetener of your choice, whatever sweetener you do, whether that's stevia, Splenda, erythritol. You could add a couple berries, a tablespoon of nuts or seeds. You could even put some chia, or even put a tablespoon of a nut butter in there. You could even do some coconut. So a lot of good choices. And finally, there is a yogurt brand now that's newer that's called Too Good, which has a very, very low carb count, even for people doing keto, and it comes in a host of delicious flavors. So hopefully you can find it in your supermarket because it is newer. I believe it's made by Dannon, but not 100%. So look out for that delicious yogurt that you can put toppings on and really enjoy yourself. Okay, just make sure when you're looking for yogurt that you're looking at the carb count, you're looking at the portion size, because perhaps sometimes you might want to reduce the portion size to make it lower in carb count. Look at what the serving size is, and make sure there's no sugars added to the yogurt. Next idea, you could do a low carb smoothie. Now there is an idea and a concept that smoothies can have a more rapid blood sugar response because you are processing the fibers within them. That's why we don't want to have fruit juice, but sometimes people will say like a smoothie with fruit is better than fruit juice. But the problem is that once you put the fibers through the processing of the smoothie maker, you are essentially blunting their ability to soften the blood sugar effect. So there's debate around smoothies, but most people can have a smoothie and are fine. You just have to see what works for you based on whether or not you continue to lose or gain weight, your health markers, or if you're doing blood sugar or keto testing. But a good way to make a smoothie that shouldn't really have much effect on your blood sugars is to make a smoothie that's got a base of a plant milk, some ice, and some protein powder, obviously a low carb protein powder, whey protein isolate, a collagen powder, based on how much protein you want. And to make it a little bit healthier, you can put a handful or a cup of spinach or kale, or some kind of green veggie. Some people put cucumbers, but cucumbers are higher in carbs. Some people like to put avocado for creaminess, even though those are a tiny bit higher in carbs. And then also, depending on your fat and carb intake, you could put a tablespoon of nut butter, or you could put a teaspoon or a tablespoon of some coconut oil or MCT oil. And finally, you could put a chia seed or a hemp seed or a flax seed to increase the fiber content and the fullness that the smoothie gives you. And finally, you could put some berries in there as well to give it a sweetness and a sweetener. So a lot of great ideas about how to make a low carb smoothie. Next idea is a muffin in a mug. A muffin in a mug is amazing because it's so quick and it gives you the feeling of having a nice kind of carby breakfast, and yet you are getting your proteins and it's low carb. So most muffins in a mug, you could do an egg and 2 tablespoons of nut butter, mix them up together, add some vanilla or a sweetener of choice or some spices like cinnamon or pumpkin spice, and then just put it in your microwave for a minute to a minute and a half, depending on how you like the middle consistency, if you like it softer or a little bit more cooked. Other ideas is you could do it with almond flour and an egg. You could also make it savory if you prefer it savory by putting some sour cream or some onion powder, or some herb powder like a dill or a parsley. So really a lot of options there, and when you take it out, you can just eat it like a muffin by flipping it over, once you've put it in the microwave in your mug, or you could slice it in half and open it up, open faced, and put something on it, some butter, some sugar, a teaspoon of sugar-free jam, some cheese, berries, whatever works for you, or some maple syrup as well, sugar-free maple syrup. Okay, there's also low-carb pancakes and even low-carb waffles that you can make for yourself. Those can have 1 or 2 eggs. They could have 1 or 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. You can or don't have to add some almond flour and some spices. There are some recipes based off of eggs and mozzarella cheese, which is what they call a fathead dough. So really, just go on the internet and find a recipe that sounds good to you in terms of your macros, and you can have yourself a quick, serving of pancakes or waffles, and top it with whatever you enjoy, and really get the feeling that you're not deprived, and you also can have a nice, breakfast treat. The next one is a chia seed pudding, or a seed pudding in general. You would take some plant milk, some chia seeds, some spices, some sweetener or some toppings. You could do seeds, you could do hemp seeds. What's nice about these is you can take a mason jar that closes and shake it up. Give yourself, 45 minutes would be a minimum, but 4 hours is ideal. So sometimes doing this the night before, or right when you wake up in the morning if you tend to eat later on, shaking it really well, putting flavors, sweeteners, nuts, whatever you like, or doing that after the fact, closing it and letting it sit, or put it in the refrigerator while you're letting it wait. And once you open it up and eat it, you'll have a nice pudding, that makes a nice replacement for, an oatmeal or a pudding type of breakfast, and you can top it as well. You can also make your own quick keto cereal by just taking a bunch of coconut or nuts and seeds, based on your own macros. Figure out what's a good combo in terms of your protein, fat, and carb content, and then top it with some plant milk. You can top with cream as well, depending on what kind of fat macros you're working with. Make sure to do these in small quantities. The way we used to eat a big bowl of cereal isn't as relevant for keto foods because they are more filling. We are watching our macros, especially with nuts and seeds. They can be higher in carbs and in fat. So, doing something like a 1/4 cup or 1/2 cup as opposed to our old, full cup, or maybe putting a couple berries in there, or other things to make it a little more filling, with a light, nice milk, makes for a delicious breakfast as well. And finally, if you're not a big eater, but you want something yummy or something that's going to sustain you for just a little bit and that's light on the stomach, you can just have a nice creamy coffee. You've heard of bulletproof coffee. Bulletproof coffee can sometimes feel heavy if somebody's not used to it, because some bulletproof proof coffee recipes include both oil and cream, or so you can do a light version or a heavier version. Basically, if you want, you could do a tablespoon of cream. If you are trying to lose weight and don't want as much fat, you could do a half a tablespoon of cream. You can do a syrup, like a sugar-free syrup in any flavor. If you want it to be more filling, you could do, a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of coconut oil, 2 tablespoons of cream, and finally you can actually add even like a half a scoop of protein powder to this and use a blender or a frother to make it a nice creamy coffee that's also got some protein that will last you longer if you need it to fill you up longer. Just, be careful with the bulletproof coffee. Sometimes people will put a lot of fat in there and not realize that it can stall weight loss. If you're doing it, particularly if it's not exactly going to be a meal replacement, but just, like a couple of hour holdover. So just be aware of that. So I'm really curious and interested in knowing a little bit more about what kinds of low carb or keto breakfast ideas you have to share. If you could put those in the comments section below, that would be so helpful so we can exchange ideas. If you have recipes, great. If you just want to give us a general idea so that we can create our own keto breakfast ideas, that is great as well. And of course, if you're somebody that just doesn't like breakfast and you want to skip altogether and try intermittent fasting, this works beautifully as well for reducing your blood sugars, helping weight loss, and for people that just are not morning eaters as well. Don't forget to go ahead and click on the subscribe button if you want to get more content like this, and on the notification bell, and go ahead and share this video with any of your friends. If you have friends that are contemplating keto or low carb but don't really know how to begin or how to start, this is a really good guide, because really I find that breakfast can be one of the hardest meals of the day for people who are starting out on low carb and keto to kind of make the transition into these new types of foods. Wishing you a blessed day. Thank you.